Bort? Oh, come on, Bort?
Mommy, buy me a license plate!
No, come along, Bort.
Are you talking to me?
No, my son is also named Bort.
Hello, and welcome to the Bort Experience, a Simpsons podcast. I am your host, Cody Galat. Today we are on episode 7, The Call of the Simpsons. First off, I also wanted to say thank you so much. I'm up to, as of this recording, I believe 112 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you so much. I've been enjoying communicating with fans of the podcast and like-minded people in the comments below, and also follow me on social media. So check out the bio for some of my social media feeds and everything. We can communicate there as well. But let's go ahead and jump into the episode. So The Call of the Simpsons was written by John Swartzwelder, directed by Wesley Archer, and it originally aired on February 18th, 1990. Interestingly, that is my sister's birthday, February 18th. The chalkboard gag is "I will not draw naked ladies in class," and the couch gag, the family comes in and just sits on the couch in a normal manner, which was kind of funny. I'm expecting something to happen, and I'm sure many fans were too when they first saw it after seeing previous episodes, and then when you just see nothing happen, you're kind of just like, oh, did I miss something? What did I miss? So I think that was a good way to kind of flip our expectations by not actually doing anything. The episode overview. Homer becomes envious of Ned Flanders, who we've met. I think this is the maybe second or third time we've seen him after the holiday special. Flanders has a new RV. He goes to Bob's RV Roundup to buy one of his own because Homer's jealous. Settling on a dilapidated camper because his credit score is so bad, he takes the family camping and in the process destroys the RV, leaving Lisa and Marge behind. Bart and Homer try to find their way back to civilization, but have little luck. Later on, Homer is mistaken for Bigfoot and captured. Marge, Bart, and Lisa are saved, and Homer is released, although scientists say they cannot determine which species he belongs to. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I don't think it's been my favorite so far, but it's not been my least favorite, if that makes sense. I thought there were some really great moments. I think my favorite, honestly, one of my favorite parts was kind of the B plot, which we talked about last episode. They've kind of started introducing these B plots, and it was Maggie with the bears. Maggie really shined in this episode to me. Marge and Lisa kind of stay behind, and Homer saying, hey, I'm an excellent woodsman. I can, protect us and get us out of this mess, even though he's the one who got him into it originally. So him and Bart kind of go off, and Maggie's following, but Homer is not aware that Maggie is following. And Lisa even kind of says the comment of, hey, Mom, should we really let Maggie go with them? And she's like, oh, yeah, she'll be fine. Your father is so experienced at this. And Maggie, of course, gets mistaken for a rattlesnake, so Homer and Bart freak out and just take off running, which in turn makes it where Maggie is found by a group of 4 bears. The first bear that comes up to him, is like huge. I believe in the show they call it a grizzly bear, so it's a grizzly, I'm assuming. And just kind of growling. Maggie gives it a pacifier, and then of course the bears kind of take, almost like those stories you hear where a wolf takes a child or something, like kind of like that Jungle Book story, or like a kid is raised by an animal, and it kind of had that feel where the bears would get Maggie, whatever, and they were really sad when they finally separated. So as a B plot, I love that. I thought also the moments of, Homer being jealous of Flanders, which is a recurring theme, where Flanders just does a lot better in life, it seems like, compared to Homer. It's just kind of funny how I think Homer says, oh, don't worry about the Flanders, because I think the first appearance of Todd, I believe, in this episode, we see him riding a riding lawnmower while Bart is pushing one of those. It's a push mower, but it's not even motorized. It's one of those ones that have a bunch of blades and you have to like manually push in. It's very hard. I think I've only done one once, and I don't think I mowed a whole yard. I think I just kind of like played around with it, and yeah, that would be tough to mow grass with that kind of thing. And to be honest, I haven't mowed grass in 6 years. The community I live in, part of our fees pay for lawn maintenance, so I'm so thankful, because I know some people get a lot of enjoyment out of lawn work, but for me, it's like miserable, and you just get really hot and dirty, and like, it's even hard to listen to music or podcasts because it's so loud usually. So I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. So I'm sorry to all my subscribers that do have to still mow your grass. I feel for you. I know your pain. But yeah, so to kind of get back at Flanders, he goes against this RV. I think that exchange is really funny where Homer really gets bought in by that salesman pitch. And I feel like if you've ever bought a car or even, even phones, I guess now they kind of push it this way in a very car salesman way, and like really try to flatter your ego and stuff like that. So you got to be careful when you deal with dealerships and everything. And of course, Homer is bought in hook, line, and sinker. He would have bought the most expensive one they had, but unfortunately, the computer said he had really bad credit. A huge siren goes off, and Homer's like, "Hey, that means I won, right?" And he's like, Bob, the dealership owner, is like, when is a siren ever good? So they get that dilapidated one. They go out to the woods, and and then that's kind of when everything goes off the rails. And like I said, it wasn't the strongest episode in my opinion, but it was still pretty good. It had some good moments, some good laughs. I think it was just a pure funny episode. It didn't really have a lot of social commentary besides the Bigfoot angle, which they use in future seasons. I know, like in Treehouse of Horror, and even other episodes where Homer is seen as more ape-like than man. And Homer even felt a little dumber this episode than he has previously, which I'm not saying he's the smartest guy in the world, but just some of the decisions he's making make no total sense, where I think like the writers are kind of like, oh, okay, we can kind of use this guy to tell our comedy and make him more ridiculous or less smart. So I kind of think overall that's what he did. But kind of besides that, I don't really have a big, all the other episodes have been like, really personal, where it's like, oh, depression, job loss. This one's kind of just a straight kind of like fun. I would call it like a popcorn episode, where it's like, oh, just heat up a bag of popcorn and just kind of enjoy the laughs and the adventure. But like I said, the most meaningful thing was, I just feel like this is the first time we really get to see Maggie really showcased very well. So next segment, we'll go to the citizens of Springfield, all the members of the cast and characters that appeared. So we have Dan Costanella as Homer Simpson, and he was also a TV anchorman. Interestingly enough, I don't know when he's first introduced, but we haven't seen Kent Brockman yet. We've seen a couple newscasts, but he hasn't been established as a character. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in the first time, because he has some great lines in the show. We have Julie Carvener as Marge Simpson, Nancy Cartwright as Bart Simpson, Todd Flanders and Boy Number 1, Yardley Smith as Lisa Simpson, Harry Shearer as Ned Flanders, and Dr. Marvin Monroe. There's that Dr. Monroe. We've seen him before when the family go on therapy. I knew he popped up a few more times in the show. Hank Azaria as cameraman, camper number 1, ranger, captor number 1. I'm assuming that's the people that capture Homer thinking he's Bigfoot. Captor number 3, and scientist number 3. Maggie Roswell as reporter, camper number 2, and then they had a guest voice of Albert Brooks, Cowboy Bob, the RV salesman. And when I was looking it up, I don't know if this is one of the first major guest stars they've had besides the main cast, or just having a one-off character. Of course, I think The Simpsons becomes like the king of getting cameos and characters that either play themselves or play like an exaggerated version or some other character. So it's awesome to get some of these guest stars in. Even in season 1, they're already pulling these like kind of talented people to come and do the show. I almost think it's like a rite of passage for a lot of people, at least in that golden era of the first 10 seasons. Like, man, if I can get on The Simpsons, that'd be awesome. So you love to see guest stars already popping up in season 1. The MVP of the episode. So, I've already kind of talked about how Maggie did a really great job in the B plot, but I think maybe I'll kind of do split duty, where I'm like, I give it maybe 40% to Maggie, just because I feel like this is the most standout episode she's had. And even with no dialogue, it was all animation based, pretty much, all visual, that her character is just, I just love it. I don't know why. I love her interaction with the bears, and because she's a baby, nothing really bad happens, and she saves Homer and Bart when they walk into the bear cave because they smell food, and I almost want to say 50% Maggie. I was gonna say 40. I think I've kind of convinced myself in real time. 50% Maggie. I think the rest Homer. He has some great jokes and just his attitude and him being considered like a Bigfoot. There's a scene where he tries to eat honey, gets the bees stuck in his mouth, and he can't talk. And then he jumps into a creek, but it's mainly mud, so he's all covered. So he looks brown, and then he's like, ah. And then someone has a crappy camera, and says, it's Bigfoot, kind of like the, famous Bigfoot, film that people talk about where it's like Bigfoot walking and then he turns around. So it was very similar to that, with the knowledge of who John Swartzwelder is, based on the Stupid TV Be More Funny by Alan Siegel. You can kind of see him wanting to do like that kind of conspiracy of Bigfoot and roll that into The Simpsons. That just seems like something he would do just based on what you learn about him as a person and his just worldview. So that was great to see. So like I said, I would have to give it like 50% to Homer and then to Maggie. I can't give it fully to Maggie because, like I said, it's the B plot. But she really is a standout for me in this episode. The best joke. This one I thought was hilarious. So here's the setup. So Homer, this is after they kind of go really fast through the woods, and Marge is like, hey, shouldn't we stop and ask directions? And he's like, no, who needs directions? And then they're like, stop. And then when he stops, the RV is like halfway off a cliff. That kind of like typical, like, oh God, what have we gotten ourselves into? Like you see on other shows and stuff like that. So Homer speaking softly, when I give the word, everyone ever so slowly open the door and slide out. On the count of 3. 1, and then there's a sound effect of rustling, and then slam, slam, slam. Homer turns around. Everyone has already left, taking charge in a crisis. So it's just so hilarious because it's, they're like, no, we're getting the hell out of here. And I just feel like, there wasn't a lot of words per se, but just his like, hey, no one move. Let's just be very calm about this. And then everyone just ducks out quickly. And in terms of the visuals, it just was so great. And then as soon as Homer leaves the car, or the RV, I should say, it falls over the cliff, explodes. There goes that $350 a month payment. I don't know. They don't really resolve that, but I'm assuming, they had insurance, hopefully. So, and then, this is a quick one, not for a lot of for me to talk about. Like I said, it was more of a popcorn episode, but I do have trivia, and then I guess we'll kind of just give my final thoughts. So we have, when Jasper is frozen at the Quickie Mart, what does Apu rename him? We have the options of Frosty Bones, Frostalicious, Frostalicis, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Old Man Icicle. We'll give you a second, and then we'll read the question again. And I don't think we've seen Apu yet in the show. I don't even think we've seen the Quickie Mart either. He's a great character. I know he's no longer on the show. I even read a book back in the day by one of the Simpsons writers, and he talks about like he thought Apu was a really good representation of hard work. He understand. I think if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've read the book. That he understood, I guess, some of the backlash that people had, and then Frank Azaria, who voices the character, I think didn't feel comfortable doing anymore, so I know that's why they kind of got rid of it. I don't know if they ever bring him back with a different voice actor, but he had some great episodes, so I'm looking forward to getting him back on the show. But we'll go ahead and read that question and give you the answer. When Jasper is frozen at the Quickie Mart, what does Apu rename him? Frosty Bones, Frostalicious, or Old Man Icicle? We got it as Frostalicis, if I'm saying it correctly. So that is what he's called. I think I vaguely remember that episode where he's almost like a It almost reminds me. I wonder if that was at the same time they found like a frozen caveman or something and ice in one of the frozen areas of the planet. It makes me wonder if that's why that was brought into the show in the episode. But overall, like I said, it's good popcorn. Not my favorite, not my least favorite, but I'm happy to keep going. Also, I wanted to point out I had a King of the Hill season 14 review. I'll link it down in the description. It's doing really well. I just did the entire season. So if you'll check that out. Also, I'll be doing movie reviews and TV reviews as well on different things besides just these weekly Simpsons podcasts. So if you want to check those out, I would highly appreciate it. And please let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on this episode, or if you have any other questions for me about the channel or what we're doing. So, but until then, peace out.